And good evening, and welcome to the second in a series of 3 municipal candidates forums here at the Rod Grant Hotel in Yarmouth. They're presented by the Yarmouth and Area Chamber of Commerce. There were 2 sponsors as well, the Yarmouth Rotary Club and the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Last night, of course, we had candidates from the Municipality of the District of Yarmouth. And of course, to view any of these forums, you can go to the Facebook page of the Yarmouth and Area Chamber of Commerce or their YouTube channel as well. So you can watch it live tonight or catch up at a later time. I'm your moderator this evening, Gary Nickerson. Thank you all for coming and thank you all for watching. And Quinn Taggart is my co-host. Quinn, you're going to go over the format for this evening.
So for the benefit of the audience, the format is quite simple. We're going to have introductions from all the candidates. We're going to go in alphabetical order around the room. They'll all have 1 minute to introduce themselves. Then we're going to have 4 questions. Answers will be at 1 minute each timed. And then that'll be done in a random order through the room. And then at the end of the evening, we will have a wrap up by each of the candidates and we'll go in reverse alphabetical order around the room. Everybody will have a minute to wrap things up and then we'll be done for the evening. So let's get right into it, Gary.
All right, sounds good. So the first question relates to the issue of affordable housing.
Sorry, yes, we have to do introductions
Oh,
first.
my apologies. Sorry about that. Jump the gun. Yeah, each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening remarks or introductory comments.
And up first, Doreen.
Affordable housing?
No, introduction. Your introduction is first.
Okay.
Yep, make sure you use your
I
microphone.
thought maybe you could hear me.
Oh, we can hear
right
you
there
through
on the table.
through the stream.
My name is Doreen Anita Babin Froughton. I've put Doreen Froughton, very proud of my husband. And I brought this to sort of tell people that I am running in Argyle District 1 and where my home is. And I would like to leave a phone number, 648-5024. Anybody who wants to contact me in the Argyle District, especially District 1, can reach me at that number. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Nicole Albright. I live in Belleville with my husband Harold and my son Isaac, who is in the 11th grade. Our 2 daughters are attending St. FX University. Kaylee is studying to be a teacher. Mackenzie is studying to be a nurse. My day job, I guess, I just entered my 25th year in education as a teacher, and I'm currently a literacy coach for the Tri-County Regional Center for Education. And I have been the municipal counselor in District 5 for the past 8 years. And in my spare time, there's not a lot of it, but when I have spare time, I like to spend time with my family playing Remoly. I like to spend time with my girlfriends, but my favorite thing to do is bake. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gordon Boudreau. I'm running in District 3, Wedgeport and Lower Wedgeport. I have worked in the fishing industry, car sales, and carpentry. I do some volunteer work in Wedgeport. I volunteer my time organizing the Wedgeport Tuna Museum hockey game, and also volunteer my time during the Wedgeport Tuna Tournament. My reasons for running are simple. I like to help people. That being said, I want this great community of Wedgeport to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good day, my name is Richard Donaldson. I represent District 6 in the Municipality of Argyle, which is all the Argyles, Glenwood, and Roberts Island. I've been a counselor for a number of years, and I'm just going to continue on with what I've been doing for my past record of commitment, honesty, integrity, and communication with all of the council members and staff, neighboring municipalities, including this county and Barrington, Clare. Great working relationship with the other municipalities. People know me. I've lived in the community all my 61 years, so there's no surprises for anybody. They know who I am. So I'm hoping for their support, and we'll know on October the 17th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christian LeBlanc. I am a candidate for the District 3 in Wedgeport and Lower Wedgeport. And I'm a lifelong resident of District 3, and I currently live on the Cutrow Road with my wife and 3 daughters. I built boats with my father from an early age of 13 well into my 30s. And I also went lobster fishing for 20 years. And I currently work at Yarmouth Nissan.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Malcolm Madden, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I am a candidate for the Municipal Councillor for District 5 in the Municipality of Argyle, which includes Quinnen, Springhaven, Belknap, Belleville, Rockall Point, Eelbrook, and St. Andrew Rousseau. I was born in Belleville and now live in Eelbrook with my wife, Margaret. I have owned and operated Eelbrook Service Center, a family-owned business, for the past 40 years. I'm a Crown Rust Control dealer for 27 years, a volunteer fire department for over 30 years. I have always had an interest for municipal politics, and I'm a passionate community supporter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danny Muse. I live in Abrams River with my wife Janice. Together, we have an extended family of 4 children and 7 grandchildren. I'm a retired government employee. I worked for the Department of Transportation for 30 years and have been retired now for 20. In my career with the department, I was a survey technician where we laid out all the new highways and whatever. And for the last 6 years of my career, I was the operations supervisor looking after the road system in the Argyle district, or Argyle Municipality, I should say. Since retired, I've taken position with Elections Nova Scotia as the returning officer for the riding of Argyle, now Argyle-Barrington, a position I held until 2019. I have also worked for Statistics Canada during the 2006 and 2011 census as a field operations supervisor in charge of the Western District, and that comprised from Annapolis to Bridgewater. I was elected to council in 2012 and have served as deputy warden and am currently the warden. I am hoping to have the privilege to be able to represent District 1, which is the district that I live in, for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Craig Prouty. I live in Pumlico Hill with my wife Jenny, my son Connor, who attends grade 11 at Drumlin High School, and my daughter, who recently went to Dalhousie, lived with us up till about a month ago. His first year at Dalhousie. And I went lobster fishing for 26 years. I'm retired from that. Me and my wife have a couple businesses. And I am running in the District 6, which covers the Argyles, Roberts Island, Glenwood, and a portion of Pumlico Head. And I have been involved in numerous fishing boards over the years, service clubs, like the Lions Club, the Legion. I spent 6-7 years in the District Health Authority, and I believe that these moments on all these boards gives me a lot of insight in how people think in the riding, and I'm hoping to use the stuff I learned on all those boards to represent the people of District 6. And I believe it's time for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ted Saunier. I am running for District 2. I made my home in Plymouth with my wife of 43 years, Alice Murphy. We have 3 kids and 8 beautiful grandkids. I have fished all over Nova Scotia and Newfoundland for all kinds and different types of fish, but mostly out of my home port, Wedgeport, for lobster. I know the issues at hand. I have always been interested in politics, and now that I am retired, I find that I have the time and the will to serve the people of District 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raymond Tabb. I live in Little River with my wife Michelle. Built my house 30 years ago. First thing I done was join the fire department down home, and then I've been volunteering ever since with various organizations, Tuna Fest, the Arc, Relay for Life, Music Week. Whatever comes along, somebody wants me to do something, I'll do it. I've always been a part of my community, and this is just another stepping stone for me to make a difference if I can. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll head into the question side of the forum for this evening. Gary, our first question.
Thank you very much. This relates to affordable housing. First-time home buyers often hit with expenses that they didn't expect as part of that process, makes the experience a bit daunting. Some municipal units in Nova Scotia have abolished the deed transfer tax, and some have reduced it to 0.5%. This is to encourage first-time buyers to settle into their municipalities. Here's the question. Do you feel that abolishing the deed transfer tax for first-time home buyers might be a way for the municipality of Argyle to entice first home-time buyers into the municipality?
So in random order, Danny Muse, you're up first.
Okay, thank you. The deed transfer tax. We all have to realize that the main source of revenue for municipalities are taxes. Approximately 75% or more are from taxes, whether it's deed transfer or property tax. Our rate is 1%, which means that if a person was to buy a property of $100,000, they would pay $1,000. I realize that home buyers are faced with more costs than the price of the property, like legal fees and so on. Every extra cost can be a burden. However, I don't feel personally that our municipality should abolish it. Perhaps we should look at first-time buyers and maybe we may be able to exempt them as a first-time buyer. But that would have to be a decision of council. So again, Argyle has raised the taxes by 2 cents last year, the first time since I've been on council, and I don't know how many years before that. So to eliminate other means of revenue would mean that we would have to find it some other way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Raymond Tabb.
As far as first-time buyers, depending on the situation that they're in, I mean, if they're just a young couple starting out, need a leg up, I think every case should be looked at individually as opposed to someone who is in a better situation buying a home for the first time can afford such a tax. But other than looking into it based on an individual case by case, I don't know if that's feasible or possible, but it is worth looking into to help somebody out, to build up the community and make it a better place for everyone to be able to afford to be there.
Thank you. Next up, Malcolm Madden.
Thank you. I like the deed transfer tax. It's a user tax, meaning that if you don't buy property, you're not going to be taxed. It's only the people that buy property on a regular basis are going to be taxed. I don't feel that somebody that's looking for a home is going to say, I'm not going to buy it here because it's cheaper, the deed transfer tax is cheaper somewhere else. I think they're going to go by location, neighborhood. So, and I think it's a tax that's useful to the municipality for their revenue. It's somebody like Danny said, $1,000 on a home. If you own your home for 20 years, you know, it's $50 a year. It's not a big deal. So to me, I think the deed transfer tax is not a big issue. I think we should keep it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Richard Donaldson.
It's going to be hard to find something new to say, but this far down the lineup. But no, I'm in favor of the deed transfer tax. I was there when it was implemented. Our municipality is the fifth cheapest municipality in Nova Scotia to live in based on assessment and taxes. So there's a lot of, there's room for this tax to work. We have a lot of it. Out of province, out of country buyers that buy large properties, which contribute to the tax rate. And this deed transfer tax has been a great thing this year. It's up more than we expected, and it helps in other areas, like it helps to serve, do other services that the municipality needs to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Doreen Frotton.
Well, I'm not quite sure how I would go, but I'd like to look at each individual situation, like the other man said. And if I have to volunteer to do that when I'm in council, that's fine. But I think, I know, I've worked in schools all over, and both in Barrington and Argyle schools, and a couple in Clare. And I mean, I see the poverty sometimes in the country schools. So, you know, if it can come back and help the children, you know, it's best maybe not to charge as much. I don't know. Some people live, what I've seen, I used to work in the valley, and there was real poverty. I've seen people living in sheds. So I'd like to look into that a lot more.
Thank you. Next up, Nicole Albright.
So with regards to the deed transfer tax, just thinking about our meeting last night that we had of council, we talked about the amount of revenue that we brought in through our deed transfer tax. And, excuse me, right now, it seems to be a buyer's market, and we're actually doing quite well because of the deed transfer tax. And that's what pays for our services. If we didn't have these sources of revenue, we would have less and less services, and that is really what is helping us provide the services that we have. And as Richard Donaldson mentioned, we're the 5th most affordable when you talk about tax rates in Nova Scotia. I have had friends who live in Yarmouth who have said, we would love to be able to pay the taxes that you pay in Argyle. So would I abolish the deed transfer tax? I don't feel like there's enough evidence at this moment to decide to do that, because it's an excellent source of revenue for us in Argyle, in an area that we seem to be doing really well in terms of income tax, the amount of tax, sorry, that we're charging. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Gordon Boudreau.
I don't know much about it, being a first-time candidate, but what I'm hearing from the candidates that have been sitting on council for a while, I think it's a good idea to have it, keep it. If you're buying a $100,000 house, it's only $1,000. I think it's well worth to keep it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Ted Saunier.
Hi. To echo Gordon's words, I'm listening to the veteran counselors, and they say that it is a needed revenue. However, I'd like to know how much revenue comes from a first-time home buyer, how many there is in a year. It would be an interesting number to find out. I right now lean towards the keeping the tax as is because of what I've heard here, but I really do want to look more into it and find out what the actual revenue is, and if we could do away or even lessen it. If there's 2 people involved, working people that is, buying a house, that to me sounds like they could afford it better if there's just one person buying a house or living there. So I'd just like to look into that a little more, but I am leaning on keeping it.
Thank you. Next up, Craig Prouty.
That's an interesting question, the deed transfer tax. I have campaigned through probably 95% of the houses in the district, and it has not came up. House taxes have come up a lot. People say, I don't want to pay no more taxes, but I guess the deed transfer tax is a bit different. But I don't have the data to see how much is coming in and what it would cost the municipality. I realize if you cut a tax, you have to either increase revenue somewhere else or you have to cut a service. So, but in saying that, because I don't know the exact data on that, but I would say for primary residents for their primary home, I would entertain the idea that we could reduce it to 0.5% and go from there. And that's my answer.
Thank you. And last up, Kristen LeBlanc.
Thank you. Listening to all the answers here, going last, there's not much I can add to the whole process, but maybe looking into, obviously it's a percent rate for each deed, so the lower cost of the property, the less tax they have to pay. So even if it's have a cutoff price, something quite low, maybe just abolish the tax completely for something that's very low cost. But obviously anything over a certain amount, pay the tax just as normal. So like I said, going last, there's not much I can add to the whole answer. But obviously revenue from the deed transfer tax and all taxes is what the council runs on. So you still have to tax things to have money for other social events and different things going on in the municipality.
Thank you. And I forgot my standard warning, if everybody can check their phones and make sure they're on silent or vibrate, that would be great. Thank you. So next up, we have our next question, Gary, which is on infrastructure.
That's right, specifically focusing on the Mariner Center. So with the YMCA now closed, Mariner Center expansion has become even more of a priority in the minds of many residents. So this question, two-part. What infrastructure investments do you see as a priority for the municipality of the District of Argyle, and what sort of timeline makes sense?
And again, we're going to go around the room in random order. Nicole Albright, you're up first.
So in terms of infrastructure investments, we've been looking at what our municipality, over the next several years, we've been looking at our capital plan. And our municipal office, our new admin building, has been a big one that we've been contributing to in the last couple of years. It is under construction. That is on its way. We have other priorities that have to do with wastewater in West Pubnico, for example. We have a water tank that will need to be replaced in East Pubnico as well very soon. There are other types of recreation investments that we have discussed as well. We're adding money to the trails, to the rails to trails. In terms of my own district, we've given some funding to the Eelbrook Fire Department recently. We've given a grant for $200,000 because they're building a new building. It's one of the biggest grants that's been given. The Mariner Center is definitely a priority. Argyle knows we could never do that type of project on our own, so we've become partners in that project, and we are definitely in. We've been definitely in the YMCA as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Raymond Tabb.
Well, most of you probably know my stance on the ARC and where that and everything should be for that. As far as the rink, yeah, the more the merrier. Whoever can put in, be part of, make it happen, whether it's a multi-purpose center, YMCA, it would always be nice to have an Olympic-size pool for some of the swim teams to actually host actual meets and stuff just to generate more revenue. And I think the rink is a great place to start and build on that and go from there. And yeah, I think Argyle's a part of the community, and it's our people too that go there, and we support it, and whatever works for everybody works for me.
Thank you. Next up is Craig Prouty.
Well, I would say that if elected, I would support the Mariner Center. I mean, the one big thing, my son played minor hockey, and I see a lot of kids from the municipality of Argyle that use the Mariner Center during hockey season. And when there's a Mariners game, I see a lot of people from the municipality of Argyle attending Mariners games, not this year because of COVID, but previous years. And I do believe that since the Y has closed, we've lost a good recreational facility, and I think we'd have to look at maybe building some sort of aquatic center out there for recreation, maybe a couple small gyms or something like that. But at the end of the day, to give, if I was to vote for it, I would have to really gauge the residents of District 6 to see if they supported that before I'd vote for it. But I would support it, but I would only be their messenger as council, so I'd have to gauge their support on such an endeavor.
Thank you. Next up, Kristen LeBlanc.
The Mariner Center is definitely like a hub for all the municipalities. I mean, everyone, like Craig said, everyone goes to the Mariner games and hockey games. I played hockey forever, so it's definitely something that most people are happy contributing to the Mariner Center. As my own district, going door to door and talking with people in Wedgeport, I know one thing that is always mentioned is everyone's well is pretty bone dry right now. I've been asked to see what I could do for a community well. I know the municipality owns one property I know for sure towards the south of Westport, and definitely a community well to go get drinking water, and hopefully a well that's big enough to even fill up those big jugs in the back of the trucks. So that's definitely one thing that I have had commented on, and people have told me about that is definitely a main topic in definitely my district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Richard Donaldson.
Saying it from day one. I sat on the committee to put the application together last year. Countless meetings. Danny took over after. But yeah, that's a no-brainer. You talk to anybody in the community, and everybody would like to see an aquatic center there along with the project. Hopefully it will happen in the near future. And it's funny that Christiane just mentioned on our 5-year plan, we've put $100,000 aside for community well and drought upgrades in the year 2022, maybe sooner, but that's the projected line. Nicole hit on pretty well everything on her 5-year plan for capital investment. She didn't mention the Wedgeport Phase 3 though. That's going through. Confit solar for Wedgeport. You mentioned the refit for the Argyle trails at $50,000 a year for the next 4 years. The fire ponds, retro and safety, the rural internet upgrades, that's a big one, $690,000. And sorry, Gary, I'm up.
That's okay. Just finish your thought for a second then, Richard.
No, that pretty well covers it. There's track and field upgrade, Camo's Wharf, Pumlico Library. That's about it.
Thank you. Doreen Frodden.
I live out in Gavelton, so my fire department is in Rennerton, Lake Vaughan Fire Department, which I help a lot with. Not this year, though, because of COVID, which is understandable. But I also have, my husband and I also have a piece of land right in Tuscott. And I would like, if I could, if like the people in council now, I would like to bring businesses back, more businesses that some of them have been refused to come into Argyle, right there in Tuscott. And I would like to help businesses that maybe need a hand up, not a hand out.
Thank you. Next up is Gordon Boudreau.
Pretty much the same. My constituents have the same issue like Kristen mentioned. It's becoming a yearly event, that the drought. We got to go to the Mariner Center, fill up our tanks, and we've all seen the lineups and the long waits. So a community well would be a great idea for Wedgeport. And also, they have mentioned street lights. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Malcolm Madden.
I served on council from 2008 to 2012, and the Mariner Center was a big topic then. Actually went to meetings for the YMCA, It's very sad to see it closed. We need those facilities. We need them to strive. Working on a doctor recruitment, it was mentioned that without those facilities, doctors don't want to come to a town that has nothing. So those are priorities, and if I'm elected, I'm going to make sure that I will vote for them very strongly. In my neighborhood, we have water issues as well. I'd like to work on a wharf or a boat launching for the Eel Lake. It's used regularly for kayakers and boaters, recreation. Also put up some signs and work with transportation infrastructure, clearing the roads, pushing the brush back. That's very important. There's a lot of deer activity in the area. Cars are getting smashed because they don't see the deer side of the road. So those are stuff that I would work to get worked on and moved on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Ted Saunier.
Hi, infrastructure is a huge topic for me, huge concern as well. For my district, high-speed internet, and I think that goes with almost every district. It's an important issue. It's a need. Sidewalks in certain areas are also needed. To go to the Civic Center, I cannot overemphasize how important all these facilities are. In the past, we've lost, 2 ferries, 2 trains, buses, the Y airlines. We keep losing, and we're not building. It's time to move forward, put money in infrastructure. We get doctors coming in, they leave, we wonder why. I know why, there's nothing here for them. We need that civic center. We need to build Yarmouth, and we need to continue building in the future. This is it doesn't stop, ongoing project. Infrastructure is totally important for this area. We're 200 miles from Halifax. They're not going to take care of us. We have to take care of ourselves here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last up for this question, Danny Muse.
Thank you. The first thing I would like to say is internet connections. Fortunately, there is a contract that's going to be signed, and we're going to see that happen in this area, not just in Argyle, but in Yarmouth County. And that is supposed to start the first part of 2021 and end by mid-2022. I had some others that I was going to mention, but they've already been mentioned in Argyle. But I'm going to talk about the YMCA closure. I would say that the most important piece right now of infrastructure that we need to look at right now is the establishment of an aquatic center. The closure of the YMCA has affected a wide variety of people. It was the only public pool serving Yarmouth County. A pool is not just recreational. It's also therapeutic, used by people with physical challenges and physical disabilities. We, as a municipality, are well aware of the need and are working along with the other 2 units to come up with a plan in order to make it happen. The cost is more than municipal units can afford on their own. Therefore, the federal and provincial governments will have to step up in order for it to become a reality. Before we see a new facility completed, it could take up to 3 to 5 years. So we're working as well on a way to bridge the gap by using the existing pool at the former YMCA building. A good recreation facility is paramount to encourage people to move in our area, like doctors, business people, especially those with families. So it's a very important piece of infrastructure that we have to look at, definitely, as a regional project for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. So that's the end of question number 2. We'll move on to question number 3.
Number 3, so this question relates to consolidation, amalgamation. Of course, COVID-19 has created a lot of problems, especially for municipal finances. A lot of streams of revenue have dried up or are dwindling, and of course that puts additional pressure on municipal councils not to raise taxes. Will consolidation, amalgamation be something that all 3 units should be considering as a way to plan ahead for the continued strength and future of the survival of this area?
Thank you, Gary. First up is Richard Donaldson.
We just went through that exercise last year. We hired a facilitator. We had the West Hants and the town of Windsor come and talk to us. We all sat down as 3 municipal units. We went through the exercise. We went back to our individual municipalities. We got a clear message that our municipality did not want to amalgamate or consolidate, however you want to word it. But we must remember that we have regional investments, and we have the traditional partners of Yarmouth County in the town. We have the ownership of the turbines, the windmills, the landfill, the medical clinics, the regional tourism, marketing, and the list goes on of the things that we share, the shared services. So we are doing way better than any other region of the province when it comes to sharing services. And I have a list of the benefits, but I'm not going to go through it when it says my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Danny Muse.
Thank you. As was mentioned, that's a topic that we discussed last year, early this year, with the other 2 units, as well as the provincial government. At that time, our municipality voted unanimously against for various reasons. One of them was that we were told by government that we had to make a decision within a few months whether we wanted to amalgamate or not, because this was happening during an election year. It certainly wasn't enough time for us to get all the information to be convinced that it was the right thing for our municipality. We felt that we would need public engagement in deciding such an important and lasting decision. Once you amalgamate, there's no going back. It's in order for me to be able to support amalgamation, I would have to be convinced, without a doubt, that it's the right way to go in order to be able to convince the residents of the municipality. I realize that we share services with the town and municipality of Yarmouth, and we have some that work very well, others are not as simple. Every district wants what works best for their own district. Would amalgamation fix that? I'm not totally convinced that it would, as every council member would still be looking for services in their own area as well.
I have to get you to wrap up there, Danny.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Ted Saunier.
I kind of like what Danny just said. I listened a bit to last night's forum with the Yarmouth Municipality, and the councillors there were saying basically the same thing. So if they're not convinced and they've studied this, I sure am not convinced. And like Danny, I need to know for sure which is the right way to go. And I need a complete, comprehensive explanation on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Doreen Froughton.
I'm not sure about amalgamation. I like to work, as I've said, I've worked for public health before, and I had the districts of Argyle, the schools in Argyle Municipality, and Barrington. We worked well together. We're not in the same municipality. We don't have to amalgamate, I don't think, with anyone else right now. maybe in the future. But I can work with Yarmouth. I can work with the municipality of Yarmouth. I want to. I want to. But amalgamation, that's a whole different topic. I'm new at this. This is my first run at politics. That's not where I'm good at. I'm good with health care, and I'm good with education. I know more. I need more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Craig Prouty.
I would say that I would be against amalgamating with the town of Yarmouth and municipality of Yarmouth. In my campaigning in the last month, it has come up some, and I feel safe in saying the residents of District 6 do not want to amalgamate. They see benefits in shared services, like the Mariner Center, maybe an aquatic center, maybe community wells. I've heard that. I had suggested that back in August to some people. That's a great idea, so people don't have to come all the way to Yarmouth to get their water. But I do see the benefit in some shared services. I do see the benefit in getting out of some shared services personally, but that's for a different topic if I get elected to bring to the council. But at the moment, we're building a new building in Argyle, so I would think that our talking of amalgamating at this time would not be wise, especially since, like I just said, we have a brand new building being built to house municipal government, and I really don't think the residents of District 6 would support amalgamation at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Malcolm Madden.
Being interested in municipal politics, I did follow last year's question on amalgamation and did talk about it with residents, District 5 and others. And yeah, I get the same feeling that they don't want to amalgamate. We do need the town of Yarmouth, and town of Yarmouth does need Argyle municipality residents to make things work. But I don't believe amalgamation is the answer. I am totally for shared services like local tourism, Acadian Shores, Waste Check, the Airport Corporation. Recently, EMO was shared. Some others that we could share, maybe just possibly Public Works. But in closing, no, amalgamation would not be something I'd be for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Gordon Woodrow.
Again, being a new candidate, I don't know much about it. After hearing Danny, it looks like it's not a good idea, but I've had two constituents that have mentioned it to me. One is for and one is against. So I'd have to dig deeper to see exactly which way I'd vote. But by the sounds of the veteran counselors, it sounds like it's not a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Raymond Tabb.
We had amalgamated our fire departments a while back, Como Sail, Little River, with Wedgeport and Plymouth. Como Sail, Little River, where I was, we had the manpower, but not enough equipment. Wedgeport and Plymouth had the equipment, but not enough manpower. So we took it upon ourselves to amalgamate our two fire departments and centrally locate on the Black Pond Road. We had a meeting with all our taxpayers and stuff. Nobody forced us to do it. It's not something everybody does. It just made sense to do so, to provide a service for everybody. It was mutually beneficial to everybody. It made sense. And if that could happen with the two municipalities in town, and everybody was an equal player, equal representation, and it actually mutually benefited everyone, I would be for it. But it would have to be an even, fair playing field for everyone, amenities, tax, whatever. As long as it worked for everybody, same thing, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Next up is Nicole Albright.
So last year when we had our conversations about consolidation with Windsor and East Hants, I went in there with an open mind. I wanted to learn some information to see if there were benefits. I know that the residents in District 5 had been whispering to me that it wasn't something that they were in favor of, but I just really wanted to learn more about consolidation. And I left that meeting not satisfied with the knowledge that they had provided for us. But the biggest piece of all of that was that they were really pushing it quickly, as Danny said. They wanted us to make a quick decision with very little information, and they wanted it now. And we don't do that in Argyle. We make sure that we listen to the residents and we engage the public and ask what they think. And part of their process, they did not engage the public because we asked the question, what did your residents think about amalgamation, about consolidation? And they said, well, we didn't ask them. We just went ahead and did it. And we didn't feel comfortable with that. And personally, I didn't feel comfortable with the answers that we had been given. We've had shared services with the town and the municipality for quite some time. Is it perfect? No. Sometimes there are relationships that there's a little bit of mistrust, and we still have work to do, but we have to continue to plow through and work on those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you. And last for this question, Kirsten LeBlanc.
It appears like financially it would make sense to amalgamate, but again, going door to door and speaking with people in Westport is definitely not something that the people in my district would want to do. But again, if the municipalities are working well enough, I guess, together with a lot of major projects like airport and YMCA and Mariner Center, and I assume Richard's got a whole list of stuff that goes on and on. So if the municipalities can work well enough together, maybe there's really no need to amalgamate, because as long as, again, if they can work together on these major projects, I'm sure it's not perfect, but everything seems to, they seem to get together and get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. That wraps up question 3 for the evening, and our final question for the evening is on Pride.
That's right. I guess we could call this relating to community engagement, specifically focusing on the 2S LGBTQIA community. As many persons of all ages of that community of Yarmouth County, they still face discrimination and or bullying, some to the extent that they do not feel safe to come out and simply be themselves. And Pride celebrations are not only a fun parade, but can also be an opportunity to educate the wider community about what it means to be 2S LGBTQIA, and a chance for all to embrace their friends and neighbors for who they are. This is a 2-part question. Therefore, as a member of the Municipality of Argyle Council, would you support having Yarmouth County Pride events, and would you promote or participate in such a Pride event?
Thank you, Gary. First up, Raymond Tabb.
Well, the answer for both is yes. You can have a family of 10 people, brothers, sisters, or whatever. Everybody's an individuality. They can come out. One could be, this way with money. This one likes to party, whatever. Everybody's wired different. I don't hold anybody accountable for how they are or what they believe or anything. So I'm all for everybody being exactly who they are, who they're meant to be. I would support any function and help it in any way I can, yes.
Thank you. Next up, Gordon Woodrow.
When my daughter was growing up, I always told her, I said, don't make fun of anybody, because when you grow up, have children, they might be different. So don't judge anybody, and the answer to your questions are yes, I'd participate for sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Kristen.
Actually, I was contacted by one of the organizers of something they wanted to pass was a Pride Week, not just a one-time parade. So my answer to them was I would definitely support a Pride Week, and anyone, I would obviously support anyone that takes part, and I would obviously take part myself to try to help in any way I could. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny Muse.
Yes, I guess I feel that all people should be treated as equals, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation.
Danny, can you pick up your mic?
I am very sorry.
No,
I'll start
no worries.
again. I feel that all people should be treated as equal, regardless of race, religion, or sexual orientation. There's been a lot of changes in the last few years. There seems to be more of an acceptance with society. So would I endorse or support those the events, if I can think of the word, the events? Yes, I certainly would. We are all equal and should be treated that way. We're not all perfect. So there's still a lot of discrimination in there. So yes, I think it's time that society moves on board and accept people the way they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Doreen Frodden.
Well, as I've said earlier, I used to work with public health here in Yarmouth under Dr. Rideout's directions, and but all my work was in the schools. So you meet a lot of children, and something that I learned, sometimes children are born with both organs from a female and from a male. Outside it might be male organs or female organs, and just the opposite inside. They're called hermaphrodites, or that's what I was taught when I went to university and took my course. Should we judge these people? No, please don't. You know, I go to certain events, I don't go, not because I'm not into it, but maybe it's too far away or whatever. You said it would be here. If there wasn't anything else pressing, like somebody in the hospital, me in the hospital, I might go, yes. Thank you. Sorry I talked so long.
It's okay. Thank you. Craig Prouty.
Well, I believe everybody's equal, regardless of your sexual orientation, your language, etc. And I really would feel bad if some people felt that they didn't feel safe in their own community. And all I can say is, if I was asked to go to a parade, I would go. And for that matter, anybody that would ask, if I'm elected, anybody that asked me to attend an event, I would definitely attend it. And I really believe that everybody should be treated equally and fairly. And thank you.
Thank you. Malcolm Madden.
I guess I'll keep it simple. You know, I would attend events, and I certainly would promote the Pride Week. Like everybody says, we're all in this together, whether Acadian festivals or anything, we do support it. And I think as leaders, we should condone anybody that does not want to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Ted Saunier.
The answer is yes to both, and I believe not only can we support and not discriminate, I think we can be an example and show what's the right way to live and do things. We were all brought up, and I like what I hear around the table. Everybody agrees on this, so yeah, we can make an example as individuals and as counselors. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Albright.
When I think about my own schooling, I think about a time when it was very difficult for youth to come out if they were gay. It was very difficult. I feel like we're making inroads there. My children are school-aged, university age, and more of their friends are coming out. They're feeling more and more comfortable. But again, there's still discrimination. There's still some issues. People have issues with their sexual orientation. I would certainly support Pride Week, Pride events, and actually I do attend the Pride Parade in Yarmouth when they've had the Pride Parade. I think that it gives an excellent opportunity for people to find their place and to express their orientation. Thank you.
Thank you. Rounding out question number 4 is Richard Donaldson.
Well, the answer is yes and yes. I was taught at a very young age not to discriminate. Probably it was because of my being forced to go to Sunday school and church, and I got the right message at an early age. But to this day, there's still discrimination in the community. I have arguments with people that still believe that you become what you are. You're not born what you are, and I argue you're genetically born the way you are. You just don't choose one day to decide to be a gay person, and I'll argue with them until the daylight if I have to. But sometimes you just can't get through to people, and it is still out there. Thank God we haven't had any issues at municipal council. Everything has always gone good there, and hopefully it will continue to go that way. But there may be some times that we might have to put in a policy and to address situations, but we haven't got to that point so far. Thank you.
Thank you. So that wraps up our questions for the evening. I want to thank everybody for your answers. We're going to give everybody a minute to close out the evening, and we're going to go in reverse order from what we did for earlier. So we'll start with Raymond Tabb.
I want to thank everybody here for putting up with us and giving us the opportunity to speak to everybody. To my constituents, I am planning on knocking on more doors. I will get around. I'm taking a week off to do so. And yeah, I'm just passionate about my community. I'm 100%. I don't just live in my community. I'm a part of it, and I always have been, and I always will be. My morals are in check, and I just want to do what's right and what is beneficial to my community, not just mine, our 3 communities, constituents, and municipalities in town. We're like you said, we're a long ways from Halifax. We're Southwest Nova Scotia, and we should treat each other and work together to make it beneficial to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ted.
I thank you for hosting us. It's been a pleasure. I stand by a viable fishery. I stand by high-speed internet. I stand by sidewalks. I stand for a healthy and viable community. I believe in integrity, dependability, and the common sense behind all that. I hope to represent District 2 and vote for Ted Saunier on the 17th. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Prouty.
Thank you for hosting us tonight. It's been a pleasure. And I guess the one thing I will say is it's been great out meeting the people, campaigning, and the new people in the community. And I've touched base with a lot of people I haven't seen for years. Been where a lot of people live. And the one thing I tell them, I will make no promises. I'll do my best to represent your wishes. I believe in bottom-up democracy. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I believe. It matters what the majority of the residents of District 6 believe, and I honestly believe that, and I will do the best to represent them. I know internet has come up a few times, things like, can my green bin be picked up once a week? And I say, well, I'll look into it, but I will make a pledge that I will try my very best, if elected, to represent the people of District 6, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Danny Muse.
Yes, again, like the others, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and everyone involved for giving me the opportunity to be part of this very important session. Gave me the opportunity to listen to what other candidates' views were on the topics discussed. As I mentioned earlier, I've served on council for the last 8 years, and I feel that I have served to the best of my ability. I have always been available to the public. I have the people that I represent. I will continue to do so if elected. Council has to make difficult decisions at times, and it may not sit well with everyone in the municipality, but I'm elected as in one district, 1 of 9, and I'm only one voice of 9. So I promise that that what I have done for the last 8 years, I will continue to work on your behalf. I would be privileged, it would be a privilege to be able to represent you for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Malcolm Madden.
Thank you. I have appreciated the chance to participate in this forum. I am a qualified candidate. 40 years as a business owner gives me many contacts and resources to better serve the people. Daily contacts with many constituents allow me to make better informed decisions when dealing with your issues. I'm a hard worker, I'm very accessible, and willing to lend a helping hand whenever possible. And I'd like to close out with something my late father told me. He said, "Never promise anything, but promise to do your best." Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kristen LeBlanc.
Well, I'd like to thank Gary Nickerson and Quinn Taggart for hosting the event and the organizers for the opportunity to attend. Again, my name is Kristen LeBlanc, and I'm a candidate running for District 3 in Wedgeport and Lower Wedgeport. My interest in politics started in high school with the Model Parliament, and since then I've become an active volunteer. I have my own radio show on CIFA on Monday nights for the past 5 years, a current events show that I host with a friend of mine, as well as local variety shows, concerts, Tuna Fest and things like that. I've played the drums since high school and took part in a lot of concerts and variety shows and hosted a few shows at the Legion and stuff. And I would like to be the next representative for the District 3, Wedgeport and Lower Wedgeport. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'd like to thank the Yarmouth Area Chamber of Commerce and Gary and Quinn. Really not much to say. I've been a councillor for a number of years. I've done nothing that I've been ashamed of. The people have always supported me. I'm confident going into this election. If they see there's something that needs to be fixed, probably I'll get booted out. But I'm confident that I have the support I need. I'm going to move forward, keep talking to people, communicating. I've been in the community. I went lobster fishing for 37 years, 32 of them as an owner. So I worked on the LFA 34 advisory board. I can't even remember how many years, so many I can't remember. So I'm well rooted and grounded in the community that I grew up in. And again, I will have to wait till October 17th. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Again, thank you guys for hosting this event. That being said, again, my reason for running are simple. I love people. I love my community. I want the community of Wedgeport to move forward. And hopefully I'll get a chance to do so if I get voted in on October 17th. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole?
As everybody mentioned, thank you for the opportunity tonight. I just want to say that I really feel that a good counselor has a few different qualities, and one of those qualities is that they're a team player. That person has to be able to work with 8 other counselors, but not only the 8 other counselors, they have to be able to work with their regional partners. Also, a good counselor is somebody who is engaged in what is going on. They're attending meetings, they're researching, they're talking to people. And finally, one of the qualities that I think is the most important is that a good counselor is somebody that your constituents feels very comfortable and safe coming to with any issue, whether it's big or small. And I honestly feel that I have fulfilled all of those qualities and continue to do so. And anytime anybody has come to me with an issue, I feel like I've done 100% my best effort in order to help them. And anybody who knows me knows that I don't do anything halfway. And if I had felt that I wasn't doing this job well and that I wasn't putting in 100% effort, then I would not have submitted my name again. So I'm looking for support in District 5, and I am hoping that the young people on the voters list will exercise their right to vote on October 17th. Thank you.
Thank you. Doreen?
Thank you for inviting me here tonight. I'm very pleased. I've learned stuff. I'm really impressed with everybody here. And, but the reason I'm looking to get elected is because I love to work with people. I love to work for my fire department. I love to work in the schools. And my district has a high school, and it has l'Université Sainte-Anne. And education and healthcare is important to me. And sometimes just talking to someone can help them. And it would help me. When I can help someone, it's good for me. And I'm looking forward to seeing October 17th and seeing the results. And people, please call me. My number again is 902-648-5024. Don't be scared. Most of the time I'm home, but I do have an answering machine, and if you leave a message, I will call back. I know I'm not part of council, but that's all right. I love to meet and talk to people. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody again for participating tonight. Gary, some closing comments?
For sure. Again, from me, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. If you missed it this evening, pardon me, this candidates forum, pardon me, I always choke up at the end for some reason. If you missed it, it will be posted by the Yarmouth and Area Chamber of Commerce, who are presenting these forums later on. You can check out their Facebook page or their YouTube channel. As we mentioned last night, we encourage everyone who is eligible to get out and vote. It's very easy. There's no paper ballots, of course. You can vote electronically, you can vote by phone, or you can vote in person. You simply have to go to the Municipality of the District of Argyle's Facebook page or website. All the information is there for you, dates and all of that. Voting in the municipality starts on October the 5th and runs up to and including Election Day on the 17th. Again, thank you very much, candidates. Thank you for joining us. And again, much thanks to the Yarmouth and Area Chamber of Commerce for presenting this event, these forums. Tomorrow night, just a reminder, tomorrow night, candidates, mayoralty and councillor candidates for the town of Yarmouth. Again, broadcast time is 7 o'clock. Again, thanking our two sponsors as well, the Rotary Club of Yarmouth and the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Thank you.
Thank you.